We're here with Cole Macedo for the Drivers Project. Just catching up with him after what's been a crazy season so far and is heading into a pretty crazy NARC finale. You're 3 points back of Justin Sanders going into the last race this weekend. How has your season been? Take us through your year with NARC.
Yeah, obviously it started off really well. We won the first two nights with the series, and then we've had some really strong races throughout the year. Picked up a handful of other wins, and just we've been in the top five almost every single race, unless something catastrophic has happened, kind of like last Friday night. But it's just it's been a good year. I feel like over here on the West Coast and over back there, it's been a phenomenal year, and just excited to end it. Hopefully we end up on that top step, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's like I said, it's been an awesome year, and it's got me having some good confidence going into 2025.
So this season, from the outside looking in, looks like it's had a bunch of twists and turns. Can you take us through the biggest twist that worked out positively for you, and then the biggest twist that's worked out negatively for you?
You're talking about with NARC?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we both had a couple of bad nights that were kind of out of our control. But obviously the big swing night was last Friday night when we got caught up in that crash down the backstretch, and it ultimately crashed almost everything on the car except for the frame somehow. And we almost got back out, and then ended up the steering box was broke, and so we were done for that night. And so that killed our points lead that we had going into there. And then I would say obviously the other good one for me was him having an issue there at Tulare when I won. So that was a big positive point night for me. That actually got me back into the points lead. So that's just how this deal goes. It's a tough deal with this NARC series. There's not, in my opinion, there's not enough good cars that on a nightly basis that can get that points gap into a reasonable deal to where one of us can get away from each other. It's like all year long we've been neck and neck, and then it takes one of us having a terrible night or something bad happening for us to get going, and then just for some reason every 4 or 5 nights later there's something else happens to the other person. So it's definitely been like you said, definitely a big twist here and there, but it's crazy. The NARC, I think somebody said NARC after night the other night. We've had a lot of just crazy races, a lot of crashing, and lots of long red flags, and makes it tough for the people to watch out of California.
Now, Dom obviously is a podcast host with me, and you stole a win from him the last NARC race. And Jesus, from the video I saw from Cali Dirt videos, you looked like you were on a rampage there. You looked like an animal coming through. Can you talk about how important that win was?
Yeah, for sure. After, I went into last weekend with, as long as I just run the top 5 every night, I should win this championship, no problem. And then we had a catastrophe happen, and we were, working our tails off there on Friday night, and I was running back and forth trying to, get the car fixed, and then the tow truck, breaks down, and so all the other teams are complaining that we're getting favoritism, this, that, and the other. Just a bad night, obviously. And then so we lost the points lead, and me and Drew, and our guys built a complete new race car. I'm talking everything other than the frame and the seat. So on Saturday morning, we all got to the shop early, went to bed at 4 a.m., got to the shop at 8 a.m., and built a complete, other race car pretty much, and got to the track there at 4 o'clock. And we're all, to be honest with you, exhausted. And but we're all trying to keep a good attitude and put our best foot forward. And it was just like, man, it is what it is now. Like we lost the championship pretty much, and I'm just gonna go for it with everything I've got. And so we put together a great night. Had an unfortunate dash, fell, from first to fifth, and then yeah, in the feature, I was just honestly driving mad. Like I'm just like, man, I feel like I'm been doing a whole lot of right, and nothing's been going my way lately. And Drew gave me an awesome car, and it was just one of those nights where I'm sure you had it as being a crew chief for one of your guys you crewed for. Just the car was perfect. I could really run wherever I needed to. I feel like I caught Dominic running, bottom and 1 and 2, top 3 and 4, and then I also passed him running bottom and kind of pulled away a little bit. He was having to really leg the thing in there to try to get back by me, but I felt like my car was better, no matter where I was on the racetrack. So just, yeah, I think I was just definitely mad and just racing full of rage out there, and it paid off. Sometimes that ends up another catastrophe and crashing or whatever, but luckily the other night it worked out.
So obviously, the main foil for you in all of this is Justin Sanders. We've seen him run nationally, but not a lot. Could you talk about Justin and what his strengths and weaknesses are as a driver, and what makes him tough competition on this tour?
Yeah, he's just, he's been racing for a long time. He's in very good equipment almost every single night. Obviously, the cream usually rises to the top. So, he can win on even any given night. So he's usually in the best equipment, and he's a very smart, driver. He does a lot of what I do. He can work on his own car. He mechanics his own car. I know he builds his own shocks. He kind of does it all. So his knowledge is very high, and with that, he's never really missing with his setup or not knowing where this is at or that's at. He's on top of it. So I think that makes him very that puts him in the spot he is right now, and at the top of California racing, and yeah, I think he had some success there in the Speed Lab car, and ultimately, I think a lot of people think that we have animosity towards each other, and some nights that is the case, but ultimately, I think that we're just two guys that are putting it on the line every single night and going for the win. So there's been a couple nights that him and I have got an argument or back and forth because one of us is racing the other too hard in his or mine eyes, and I try not to say anything usually because I know that hey, he just roughed me up, but at some point I'm accidentally doing it to him too, just because I'm racing him as hard as I can. So I just feel like that we're two of the better guys. I would like to think. I consider him one of the best here, and we're both just racing super hard to beat the other one, right? If I don't race him hard or he doesn't race me hard, vice versa, one of us is eating the other one up.
So we've talked about why Sanders is tough. Why are you going to beat him?
Man, I'm hungry. I want to win really bad. I've heard him say a couple times that he doesn't really care about the championship, this and that. But I've never ran for the NARC championship yet, and so this is my first year doing it. And man, I think it'd be super cool to be on the same list as Tommy Charleston or my brother Carson, or some of the guys I look up to be on that list of champions with NARC. And I think that it would ultimately be accomplish the goal that Charleston's have set out for us. They give us awesome equipment every single night. I think we have the best equipment in California. I feel Drew Warner's the best crew chief, and I feel like I've raced the most out of all these guys over here this year. I think I seen a stat the other day. It's like 72 races I've ran. That's not even counting 360 stuff, so it's closer to 80. I know. But yeah, I feel like I have the most laps under my belt this year. I feel like I feel really sharp. other than if you just can't watch the last 4 races I've ran other than the last Saturday because I crashed every single time. But yeah, I think it would be super cool. I want to do it for Tommy and my uncle Tom as well, and Drew as well. Man, he's been working really hard, him and the guys, and I put them through the ringer the last couple weeks, and it would be cool to pay them back with a big champion check or the hardware and all that stuff.
So I got one last question for you. It was announced in August that you're going on the World of Outlaw tour next year with 2C Racing. What is the biggest thing you feel like you need to do to work on as a driver to be ready for next year's challenge?
Definitely. I've said this a couple times to people, but I definitely just got to work on, for sure, being out on the road. It's very easy to get down, and I do even do it here in California. It's even tougher here in California because I feel like every single night I should win one of these races. So, but being on the Outlaw Tour next year, there's gonna be a lot of nights I don't win. It could be the whole season I don't win. I've seen tons of rookie drivers go and not win their first season, not win their second, third, and fourth season as well. So, I go to there to win every single night, and it bums me out when I don't win. So I definitely just gotta get past that, and take the bad nights with a grain of salt, and take our good top 10 finishes, and hopefully it's better than that. Hopefully there's a couple wins and podium finishes and whatnot, but hopefully, I can try to put the bad nights behind me and say, hey, this is part of it. This is what I signed up for. I just gotta, start fresh, race that night and go on to the next one and be a cheerleader for my guys. All the crew guys, I feel like they have the tough job, really. They don't get, praised on social media, and it's getting better. Like I see a lot of the Outlaws have been posting about all these crew guys and stuff. I think that's super cool. But, I think the driver's job, obviously, is to drive the race car, but also be the cheerleader for the team, because we ultimately get to have all the fun, that we're the center of the spotlight. We get to drive the race car. There's a lot of times we don't have to go car wash or maintenance, or, we get to, have the easier job. And so those bad nights, it's my job to, be the cheerleader for the guys and say, hey man, it's going to be all right. If they need help, I can help out. And I feel like I'm, ready for that because I love helping. So it's going to be tougher to me for not help. Right. So, I think I just got to work on, definitely just taking the bad nights with a grain of salt, and like I said, keeping a good attitude as much as I can.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Yep.